Welcome to another Omega Strikers video. Are you a new player and curious about diving into this game but not really sure who to pick up and play? Well, in this one I'll be talking about each currently available character and kind of giving a sort of simple brief overview about their playstyle, abilities, and their positions. Maybe in the future I'll do more character specific in-depth guides, but for this one I'll try to keep things sort of quick. But yeah, if you want to see more Omega Strikers content from me in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you wind up enjoying the video. And with that said, let's get to it. Starting off, let's talk about the Tofu Titan Dubu. So Dubu is pretty beginner friendly with the straightforward abilities along with being able to play either forward or goalie. I personally find Dubu thrives as a great introductory goalie and definitely eases you into the position. Dubu's primary ability, Rollout, sends out a bamboo log that can hit enemies as well as the core. Dubu's secondary ability, Somersault, is a dash that stuns everything on impact including the core and has decent range for quick repositioning. Dubu's special ability, Tofu Fortress, sends out an arced wall that pushes everything back, whether it be the core or enemies, and stays on the field for a few seconds. Overall, Dubu is pretty easy to pick up and is one of the free starting characters, so you can play him without worry. Next up is everyone's favorite rookie, Juliette. She has the ability to take over games with her insane up-close pressure, whether it be knocking people off the map or comboing her abilities together to get some easy goals. She thrives in the forward position and it feels so rewarding hitting some clean combos. Juliette's primary ability, Fiery Fist, hits everything in front of her in a close range. Juliette's secondary ability, Flying Phoenix, is a dash and kick with decent range, which is good for reposition along with pairing up with your primary for some nasty knockouts or hitting the core for some consistent goals. Juliette's special ability, Flame Flurry, sends out a ton of punches in an arc in front of her and is a great finisher to knock out enemies close to the edge of the map or stopping the core in its place and sending it in the opposite direction. Juliette overall is one of those characters that can be super lethal in the right hands, but still can be played decently with newer players. The downside is if you miss all your abilities and don't utilize them correctly, your impact on the match plummets dramatically. So yeah, be careful when you use them. And yeah, as with Dubu, she is also one of the free starting characters. Aimi, the girl who glitched, is a super flashy forward that can do some crazy stuff and is a cat, so what's not to love? I've rarely seen them played as goalie, but it is possible if used correctly, and she's just kind of one of those characters that is just super fun to watch when put in the right hands. Aimi's primary ability, Glitch Pop, sends a projectile that increases in size as it travels, which can be recast to burst early or automatically when let go the full distance. Aimi's secondary ability, Cyber Swipe, is a teleport that impacts anything that gets hit at the arrival destination. Aimi's special ability, Firewall Sentry, sends out a turret that shoots projectiles during its full duration that is out there. Aimi is a very high skill ceiling character that can apply great pressure with her turret, along with dishing out some very flashy plays, utilizing her projectiles and blink in the right scenarios. Next up is Asher the Unbreakable Wall. Asher is one of those characters that does really well both in the forward and goalie position and is pretty solid overall and has one of my favorite designs. Asher's primary ability, Arc Beam, hits everything in an arc in front of her and does more damage to things caught in the center of the blast. Asher's secondary ability is a dash that races her shield, stopping on the first enemy struck along with dishing out some damage. Asher's special ability, Path Splitter, launches her shields in front of her as a projectile, and if it hits an enemy, it starts to slowly expand and continuously deal damage. Asher can be a simple character on the surface, but once you start getting the hang of her combos and applying pressure in the right scenarios, she can be a total menace to deal with. Oh, and them abs. Atlas the Steadfast Protector is a solid goalie that can be a pain to score on, and offers a unique ability that can actually resurrect allies if used correctly. He can also be played as forward, but it's pretty rare in my experiences. Atlas's primary ability, Astral Projection, shoots out a quick wall in front of him, and it can be used to shove the core away quickly, or be used to damage enemies. Atlas's second ability, Cosmic Expanse, summons a ring of light underneath him that expands and is great for keeping the core out and a quick way to relieve pressure from enemies. Atlas's special ability, Celestial Intervention, is one-of-a-kind mechanic which can actually bring yourself or allies back to life if placed in a timely manner right before getting knocked off the map. It can also heal you and your team's stagger bar if in the radius of the green zone, and in simple terms, his primary and secondary are pretty straightforward, but what can make a good Atlas to a great Atlas will be the usage and timing of his special. It can be kind of rough at times of knowing when to cast it, along with teammates not really knowing what it does, especially with the game being new. But it could be super mega clutch if you can sort of kind of pre-plan it before a knockout happens. Up next is drek'ar, the Intimidating Invader. This power forward could be the perfect fit for you if you love that brawler, high knockout potential in a character, and on top of all of that, he's got a stealth mechanic that can surprise a lot of players, especially if they aren't paying attention. drek'ar's primary ability, Lock and Load, fires projectiles from his gun that deals heavy damage to enemies nearby, but less the further away they are, and it also carries 2 charges. drek'ar's second ability, Zeno Cloak, makes him turn invisible along with increasing his movement speed. drek'ar's special ability, Molten Bolts, sends out a sticky bomb projectile that can spread, along with applying a slow. Once a drek'ar gets rolling in a match, they can be such a headache to deal with, whether it be the stealthy goals that they score, or just knocking everyone off the map if they keep getting hit with their abilities. Now for one of my favorites, Era the Empowering Enchanter. She's got a wide variety of tools which can quickly turn the tide of battle before you know it. She can be a very supportive forward, but don't sleep on her potential to kick it into overdrive and take matters into her own hands. Era's primary ability, Bewitching Beam, shoots out a blast that actually has 2 properties. If it hits an ally, it increases their size and power, and if it hits an enemy, they get shrunk in size on top of losing power and speed. Era's secondary ability, Flutterfly, casts a buff that increases movement speed not only for her, but as well for nearby allies. Era's special ability, Magic Maelstrom, creates a dormant projectile that actually increases in size, duration, and hits way harder over time. You can also recast the ability early if you need it to start moving right then and there, but it loses a lot of that oomph that I just mentioned. Era can be the bane of a brawler if you keep them in check with your Bewitching Beam, plus throwing out speed buffs for your team is always a good time. You can actually get pretty creative with the usage of your special and hit some deceptive knockouts, which is always a bonus. Moving on to another one of my favorites, Estelle the Stunning Sniper. Estelle is a free character like Dubu and Juliette, and she does really well in both positions. Estelle is one of the characters that excels in long range and is simply really fun to play. Estelle's primary ability, Piercing Shot, shoots a straight long-range blast dealing heavy damage to all enemies and is great for hitting the core from far away. Estelle's secondary ability, Rose Warp, is a teleport that also shoots out a small projectile to the nearest enemy and can also be used to hit the core. This ability personally has helped me make a ton of saves from getting scored on while playing goalie. Estelle's special ability, Crystal Thorns, fires several projectiles in an arc in front of her, and is a nice tool to get some sneaky last-hit goals if you catch the enemy goalie misplaying the core. Estelle can single-handedly carry a game, but loses a lot of her pressure and threat of scoring if you misuse her abilities or just straight up miss the skill shots. Still though, I recommend her, plus she's just so fun to use. It's Juno, the Curious Explorer. She and her blobs can lead the way to victory either as a forward or even goalie. She's probably the character I recommend the most when people are just starting out as forward with the way her overall kit works. Juno's primary ability, Friend Fling, sends out a single blob on impact or at max range. The blob can actually swallow the core and shoot them out themselves as well. Juno's secondary ability, Blob Bounce, allows you to jump to a location alongside leaving a blob at your feet. This ability can also make you elusive while in the air, which causes you to be invulnerable and untargetable. Juno's special ability, Make It Rain, targets a large area on the map and spawns varying amount of blobs depending on the situation inside. There's been countless times I've seen a Juno just get all kinds of goals just from having a blob in the right place at the right time. As a goalie, she's a nightmare to play against considering the amount of map pressure alone she has with the blobs and just the way that they can cross you up if you're out of position. In short, I say give her a chance, especially as forward, and I promise you'll score some goals that will catch you off guard. Alright, next up is Kai, the natural superstar. Kai is one of those that can slot right into the forward or goalie position and has such a flexible ability kit. He's free as well and can be a good option to steal away the spotlight once you get the hang of him. Kai's primary ability, Barrage, shoots out several tiny projectiles to damage the enemy or to shove the core easily. Kai's secondary ability, Blazing Pace, is a speed buff he applies only to himself. Kai's special ability, Giga Blast, shoots out a projectile quickly that hits hard and deals a good knockback on impact. At base value, it seems like Kai's abilities are pretty basic, but trust when I say it's like poetry in motion when all used in harmony. Between the self speed boost and his projectiles, he has everything you'd want to shine as the main carry. Next up is Luna, the chaotic rocketeer. Earlier I was talking about how Estelle has some great range, but Luna takes the cake with her abilities. She plays great in both goalie and forward positions and can pretty much have an impact on the game no matter where she is on the map. Luna's primary ability, Whammy, shoots a small rocket that also speeds up after a brief delay. Luna's secondary ability, Boost, is a dash that launches you forward with a slight ability to steer yourself in which you can't stop until you hit an enemy or a wall. Luna's special ability, Crater, drops a bomb at any location on the map that deals heavy damage to enemies in the center and simply just creates so much chaos. A big thing with Luna Goalie is taking the eject button gear, as you're able to pair that perfectly with her boost ability, and she becomes even more lethal if used correctly. As fun as her kit is, it could take some getting used to be able to utilize effectively to really turn the tide in a match. Coming up next is one of the newest characters, Rasmus, the captivating playmaker. Rasmus is a very fun character that does really well as a forward, and if you like menacing characters and want to use a chain sickle, then he might be perfect for you. Rasmus's primary ability, Pendulum Swing, slams your chain sickle in a direction in which hits much harder near max range. Rasmus's secondary ability, Whiplash, is a self-speed buff in which you can recast to hit everything around you in a circular motion. Rasmus's special ability, Death Touch, shoots out your chain, pulling the first enemy hit towards you. Rasmus's primary is his bread and butter, and if you can master it between core usage and dealing damage, you'll definitely notice the potential he has alongside his other abilities, which can give you the edge in tight situations. Alright, next up is the Shadow's Force Rune. Rune is a highly technical character which can be played in both positions. His playstyle thrives off character mastery, and the more time you have on him, you'll definitely notice the more impact you can have from game to game. Rune's primary ability, Unstable Anomaly, places down an expanding zone which deals damage to enemies and also a great tool for self-passes or redirects with the core. Rune's secondary ability, Shadow Step, leaves a shadow at your location on round start, and when you cast, it teleports you to that location, which is great for reposition and being a threat in all areas of the map. Rune's special ability, Banish, shoots out a projectile that causes enemies to get slowed on top of not being able to be targeted or interacted with. If the core gets hit by Banish, it also stays in place until the duration ends, causing it to be immune to hits. Rune is one of the higher skill ceiling characters, if I have to say so, and it'll definitely take some time to really get good at, along with using his kit to the fullest. Next in line is X, the eccentric brawler. If you love mashing buttons and simply beating up on all your opponents, then this power forward is for you. Once an X is on you, you're in for a world of hurt. X's primary ability, Bell Ringer, swings his arms in a circular whirlwind and deals damage to everyone near you. X's secondary ability is Bull Rush, which is a dash on top of dealing heavy damage to those hit. X's special ability, X Maximus, is a self buff that increases his size, on top of turning your core strike ability into a damaging move that lasts for a few seconds. When all of X's abilities are used in tandem, you'll feel the power that he has, and causing just pure anguish among so many players. Last but not least is Zentaro, the Wandering Blade. He's a flashy, agile forward, and best way I can describe his kit is that it reminds me so much of, I guess, Akali and Katarina from League of Legends, and it's just one of those characters I can see being crazy strong in the future once more people figure him out. And on top of that, he has one of the best theme songs in the game in my opinion. Zentaro's primary ability, Slice and Dice, deals damage in a small path in front of him. Zentaro's secondary ability, Light Rush, blinks forward after a short delay and hits all enemies in your path. Zentaro's special ability, Oni's Blade, allows him to blink to a nearby location and becomes elusive while dealing damage to enemies within its radius and then knocks them away at the end of it. Zentaro is one of those characters that you really need to know your limits of when to pick and choose your engages, along with knowing when to commit to certain situations depending on what's happening around you. The skill ceiling for him is definitely a wide margin where he can pretty much tell who's new to him, just compared to the high level Zentaro mains that you might see out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my brief overview for all the currently available characters. And like I said at the start of the video, I'll more than likely do more in-depth and better edited character guides, but this should suffice for now for the newer players. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and as always, hope you all take care. Peace, peace!